Welcome back to Bot Bros, where we separate the help from the hype when it comes to AI marketing, because there's a lot of news swirling around, and we're going to cover just the news that you need to know as a marketer and get into a viral post and a poll to uncover what marketers are actually thinking and talking about when it comes to AI marketing as well. I'm Dan Sanchez. I'm joined by my brother, Travis Sanchez, and we're going to dive right into the news, starting with the big news from the last 2 weeks since we missed
Huge.
the episode last week is ChatGPT's 4.0 image generator.
Yep.
This was like mind-blowing last week. Now, we missed the episode this last week because I got news that I was taking Matt Wolf's presentation at Social Media Marketing World, which I'll get into that in a minute. But I was preparing a deck called 25 AI Tools and Workflows that'll help the way you change content forever. That was the name of the title. So naturally, there's a lot of tools in there. And then this thing launched and screwed up a good portion of my deck. I was like, Morty, I'm like, deck is finished. I'm now rehearsing. Oh no, the tool got updated. It screwed up multiple presentations for that conference, especially people who were doing their whole presentation on images.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
I'm like, sorry, bro. But the image generator tool was worth changing all our decks around for because it was some of the biggest AI news of March.
Yep.
Mike can't think of something bigger that happened in March. March kind of finished off with this huge thing. And it's interesting because our last episode was about images. We talked about Google's image effects tool, and I was a huge fan of it. But now with that, and we talked a lot about even like, oh, we haven't hit design yet. Like it's just illustration.
Right.
All that's out the window now. Because this one is more than an illustration tool.
Right.
Like it can actually do some design. So first impressions, bro, where are you at with this tool?
Yeah, I've been playing with it. I had it do a simple thumbnail with some text and it crushed it. It did exactly what I wanted to do. Kept it simple, illustrated, made a image with some text over it. The design of the text was great. It was what I needed it to be. I tried to challenge it by uploading another photo because our designer is busy. So I was like, well, I'll just send it to ChatGPT and see what it can do. So I uploaded this image. It has a blue bar at the bottom that overlays on top of a black and white image. And I wanted to just change the image, keep the blue, keep the text in that blue image, keep the font the same, just change the photo in the background. Okay. It gave me a new photo. It kept it black and white. It kept a blue bar. It kept the same words, but the design of that blue bar and the words, it couldn't just copy paste it.
Yeah.
It was a different blue. The blue bar was up a little higher, leaving some space at the bottom. The font was different. It had a little design element at the back end of the font. So it
almost.
It was almost there. It would have been usable if I was okay with a new
look,
but I wasn't
okay to match all the other stuff.
Yeah, I needed to match the rest of them. So,
there's limitations.
There is limitations.
But it was a big jump forward. And for those of you who, like, if you're getting all your news from this show and you don't watch other news, what's different about this image generator tool is there's quite a few things.
Oh, tons.
The biggest thing is that it actually can deal with a lot of text. It's the first one that's like, oh, it's not just good on like a headline. No, it can deal with like paragraphs of text and get it pretty dang accurate. Not perfect, but pretty dang accurate. So that's new. It's what they call it's multimodal. Before I think we thought we were all getting multimodal, but it was actually just DALL-E underneath. Which means the 4.0 language model can actually think in images before. Before it was kind of like make a picture about this, and it would actually like prompt DALL-E for you and then bring back an image. Now it can actually understand. Well, we've already been able to send it images, and it can understand the image natively. But now it's actually can produce images natively without having to prompt DALL-E, which was the old image maker. So that's different. I mean, it's a really important distinction because if you gave it an image before, you're like, hey, make a picture like this one. it would have to describe the picture, send it to Dolly, and then bring it back. But in the transcription process, right? If you had to
Oh.
describe something, it's like the
Oh, yeah.
telephone game, right?
Yeah,
Like
totally loses
you're gonna
the
lose
detail.
detail, an immense amount of detail. You can't recreate likeness of a photo of a person like that. So that's a massive difference.
I will say when I got the first version back, they changed the picture in the background, but they made them sad looking because
Uh,
it kind of copied the picture before, which kind of looked sad. So I said, make it happy. I want people smiling. Change the text on the shirts to say serve day instead of whatever it said. It said like people. And it did incredible at changing their expression, keeping them virtually in the same exact position. It changed the text on the shirt and made the text on the shirt look flowy as if it was on a real shirt. So and if you've ever explored with the vision or visual creation and you try to use any amount of copy or text, I try to get it to say 1, 2, 3 on something and it just spits out Russian characters and numbered money
yeah.
symbols. It just couldn't figure it out. Now it's like perfectly putting text on shirts, sidewalks, whatever you might want.
This image generation tool is so robust that it will take months to figure out all the use cases for it. Matt
Right.
Wolf just did a great video. I'll put a link in the show notes because you really, I wish we could do this, but it's just too much. But somebody had to do it, and I'm glad Matt Wolf did. But he rounded up all the different use cases people have figured out in the last week, and it's like 50
Wow.
different use cases. And he
Wow.
goes through them rapid fire in his video. It's fantastic. But it's kind of like it can do so much that it's like, dang, what can't it do?
Wow.
And there's certainly obviously there's things that it can't do, but like I put it through the ringer like the day after it came out. I put pause on my presentation and I've come up with 2 kids books. So I was like, can it do a whole kids book? Can it
Oh yeah.
maintain consistent characters? So I had ChatGPT write the story before generating the images. And I'm like, okay, ChatGPT, it's a good use for projects. I was like, write me a kid's story. Here's my previous kids' stories, my kids' books. Take notes of the illustration style because I want it to be consistent with the other kids' books illustrations. I want it to be aimed at elementary schoolers. I want it to be about how to leverage AI as a creative sidekick, but not as the main hero. The person is the hero, AI is the sidekick, helping them
Right.
help. And I want there to be a story. I want it to be funny. I need every other page to make them laugh, right? Because that's what good kids books do. And then so it created a nice little story. And I'm like, oh, also when you write it, include what the visual is that I can use as the prompt to make
No,
the
it's
image.
good.
So it wrote the whole thing. I was like, okay, for page 1, make it. Page 2, page 3, and I sent you images of the
Uh-huh.
book. What do you think about them?
They were great. I was impressed with the continuity across the different images because that has been the main problem is when you've wanted to create that continuity from one image to another, it blows it up. It has a what do we call it? The AI. Well, I can't think of it
When it gets distorted
when it just
or it can't maintain
totally
consistency.
it just blows up.
Yeah. So
An
this
aneurysm. No, it's not aneurysm. There's something AI aneurysm. What'd you call it? Oh,
hallucination.
hallucination. There we go. It's too early. An aneurysm. AI aneurysm.
Keep that one in. I'm only halfway through the book. I'm really looking to publish it. Probably won't put it on like Amazon's print on demand or anything. I'll probably just publish it as a little digital thing. As like,
Yeah.
hey, look at this cool one. Maybe some people read it with the kids. I'll read it with mine. It's somewhat inconsistent, but it's mostly consistent. It's like again the main character, which is like me with my black V-neck and my jeans and my faux hawk, is pretty consistent. But it's funny. There's 2 other characters. My oldest daughter and my son, Sayla and Noah. They're characters in the book, and the Sayla's hair changes frequently from page to page. It goes from
Right.
like down, ponytail, frizzled. The boy's hair changes. So like there's some inconsistencies, but like if you weren't really paying attention, you probably wouldn't notice. Some people would notice, some people
Right.
wouldn't. The text is almost all good. It drops quote marks sometimes, but it's like little things. You're like, my gosh, but everything else is so right on that I'm like, I could almost go to print with this sucker, like right out of ChatGPT.
Right. Now, Dan, do you know why ChatGPT 4.0 has gone viral? and what people mainstream have been using this image generator for.
Yeah, the anime, the Studio
Yeah,
Ghibli.
Spirited Away movie anime studio,
Yeah. I think
which has
OpenAI
blown
was
up.
really smart to
Which
do that.
do you think that was a push by AI or
Yeah.
by OpenAI?
Yeah, 100%.
Man, I saw every celebrity and their mother turning their images into
Studio Ghibli style anime.
yes.
Yeah.
I did it with like 18 of my photos.
Yeah, how could you not? It was so good that you're like, of course you wanna, and they did this intentionally on the last thing they did in the demo was pull out their smartphone, take a selfie of them, and then said, "Turn it into a Studio Ghibli animation style." And then that was the last thing they led with in their demo, which they were very
Oh,
intentional about. They said so themselves. Another marketer said that, and that was a really good feature to highlight. Like, look, you can take a photo of yourself and turn it into something else.
right,
That's a huge crossover for this like multimodal thing. Since it can see an image, it can recreate an image,
right.
which is huge. And I'll speak more to that in a second. But like the fact that you can take an image and recreate it any style was kind of a really cool thing. The reason why they led with it is because think about all the bad things you could do with this. This has a ton of potential for something negative too. If you
Like,
can recreate anything, then you can make a celebrity look like they're doing something really stupid, snorting coke or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, how
wow.
easy is it to like fake, like do deep fakes now? Oh, it's really easy, really easy
Well, I looked at I used Google image generator to do that when it came out 2 weeks ago. Image Gen or whatever.
to make celebrities look
Celebrity.
bad.
I said have Tom Brady drinking a Coke with a Pikachu on top of it,
Yeah,
and it did it. And I was like, that looks like Tom Brady repping Coke. I'm like, oh, a different Coke, not the drugs one that you were just
the soft drink. Yeah, repping cocaine. What's up? Yeah, I didn't know cocaine was doing brand deals.
Listen, the cartel are not romancing marketing anymore. You know, they're just no more
They're not in
grassroots.
influencer marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, back to image generation.
Yeah. So yeah, no, the Ghibli thing was just kind of a lighthearted and simple thing that they wanted to push out there as the
Wow.
main use case that people fell in love with
Yeah,
first.
Ghibli
I don't think
Studio.
they realized how viral it would go though.
They Ghibli Studio did not appreciate it. They're romanticizers. Just so you know, they were quite upset.
I'm sure the trend pushed more downloads and views of their content than anything they could have done in the
I
last
know, but
10
they're
years.
romanticizers. They don't care. They want the
Yes.
authenticity of the art. Ugh.
Yeah. It's true.
Which
It's
are
true.
us marketers are like, but you content exploded.
Like,
You had a like a glow up from your Spirited Away movie that came out in early 2000s. Like what's wrong with you?
I know, everybody's watching it on Netflix right now.
Oh,
I'm like,
for
I think
sure.
they'll be okay.
Shout out to Spirited Away. That movie's
I've never seen it.
bro. You know, it's wild.
I've heard it's like the cartoon version of like what it's like being on drugs or something.
Yeah, it's like the Japanese modern version of Alice in Wonderland.
Ah, that's good.
More creepy though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
Okay. So Studio Ghibli blew up, and then there is a big debate now. Like, oh shoot, like I think this has been around a long time, and people have everybody in the AI space is known for a long time that how AI works and like reading and ripping off. It's not ripping off, but it's learning from all these different things,
Mhm.
right? But this was like a big wake up call because the rest of the world is like starting to realize like, oh, like my style can now be emulated very quickly. So I think that was a big wave. I think more waves will come, obviously with video and all kinds of things. So people will continue to debate about it. And some people get mad at me when I say like it's just different, and I think it's okay. But that
I'll tell you
you
how
can learn on it.
I've been trying to rip off style. I just want some artwork for my office, so I'm looking for different people that I like and literally just plugging it in, copying and paste it, putting in ChatGPT. I said create this but make it different,
Yeah,
and then going to the print and putting it on my wall, which it's like, "Oh yeah, that's a little bit cuz how else would I would have
unethical.
done it before?"
I mean, you could have recreated it if you knew how.
Well,
but
I
it's really
don't.
hard.
I'm not an illustrator, so
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's gonna be a problem. It's like that's why we call it disruptive technology, because it
right.
disrupts a lot of patterns that we had before and a lot of businesses and creates new
Wow.
businesses, and it's a
Wow.
problem. That's beyond the scope of the show. But I did have a lot of questions about that that we'll get to. We'll wrestle with in a bit. But still, 4.0 is really interesting because one, you can't really copyright design styles,
Right.
which is helpful. And that's why like you can go through Pinterest or I don't know, Dribble or other design sites. And all designers do this, graphic designers, to get inspiration for your thing. You find a style, you're like, oh, I like the way they use the colors in this. Oh, I like the way they laid out the text in this other one. I'm going to smash those together and put my brand or the thing that I'm working on together.
Right.
But you can do that. You don't have to be a designer to see that and do that anymore. You can actually just use 4.0 image generator. You can feed it multiple images and be like, hey, I like the color palette of this one. I like
Wow.
the look and feel of this model, or maybe it's like you, a picture of you, and I want to put a product placement of this can of Coke in the hand. So use use this style, put me in the woods holding a can of Coke around a
Wow.
campfire, and it will actually pull all of those together and make it. And that's what people are
Wow.
flipping out about, like, because it's so like, oh my gosh, what else
Detailed.
can it do? It's so multifaceted.
I will say it's still in the early stages though, because I've plugged in even small things. Hey, take these people, put them in as a cartoon, have them painting with an easel and a canvas, say happy birthday on the canvas, and have them facing the camera, and it hallucinated. It couldn't do it.
Yeah.
2 attempts, I'm like, this is simple. It's not even that difficult. And it just couldn't. It crashed. So it's not perfect, but man, if it spits out what you're asking for, you're like, yeah, that's better than I could have imagined.
One of the downsides of using it right now is that it takes a lot of capacity from their servers, and their
Yeah.
servers have just been like dying under the weight of everyone producing these meme anime pieces and memes.
Right. Oh yeah, it's kind of slow.
It's slow,
It
takes
takes like
forever,
2
only
or
does
3
one at a
minutes.
time. I'll probably be using Google's image effects for a few more months because it produces 4 at a time and it's faster and it's still pretty dang good.
Yeah.
And generally, I don't need the design help. I could still use Photoshop and design things up really fast. I just need the illustration, and Google's image effects is really, really good at that. So I'm like,
Isn't it
probably don't
funny
need
that
it.
we've almost stepped backwards into image loading? I mean, I remember signing in to AOL, and if you got an image in your email and how it just slowly just to get the image delivered, and
Yeah.
if you've used
Yeah.
4.0 image generator, it does the
Loads
exact
from the
same
top
thing.
down.
It
Yeah.
loads slowly, so you're kind of like seeing the reveal as over time, and wow, I was taking me back. I'm like, "Oh, here we are again, just in a totally different space of needing more capacity, more capacity." Oh,
They'll
wild.
speed it up.
Of
It'll be
course.
fine. In a couple of months, it'll come back and be good. I had I had somebody in the conference ask me the other day. He's like, "Could I use this tool to help me sell?" That he does dental tourism was his business, because getting dental work done in the U.S. is so
Uh-huh.
expensive that if you need some significant like cosmetic surgery, you can go to Mexico and get it done for like a fraction of the cost.
Right.
But obviously, that's risky, because what if you don't find a good provider? You want to find a good provider. So they vet providers and then help you
Oh,
connect to the
nice.
right one, mark it
Nice.
up a little bit, but it's still a fraction of the cost. That's his business, smart business. I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, so can I help people understand what their mouth could look like through this? I'm like, uh,
100%.
I'm like, I don't know. And I pulled out my phone. I'm like, I was sitting at a whole table full of people talking about AI. I'm like, hey, let's test it. I'm going to take out my phone. I took a selfie of myself smiling, and I've had braces, so like I have a good smile. I'm like, let's see if we could do the opposite. I'm like, ChatGPT, take my photo, change nothing else about the photo, give me vampire teeth. Super, it's a subtle, tiny little detail. If nothing else is changing, and all I just need those two fangs extended.
Uh-huh.
And it did. It crushed it. It gave me vampire teeth. Pretty everything else looked almost exactly like the photo. Of course, I don't know why, but the face changes a little bit from time to
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
But it obviously was me. And I pulled it around I passed my phone around the table, and everybody was like,
Yeah, shocked. Well, and the people that need help with this who are probably getting teeth replacements. There are some young people, but most of them are 50 plus who are not messing around with 4.0 image
No.
generator. And to take their image and put new teeth on them, yeah, that would
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, it
Because
would
they
really
wouldn't know
work.
how to do it themselves. And you'd be like, yeah, we have a free tool that helps you see what you'll look like. Just upload an image and we'll take care
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. I mean, you could do this with anything. If you want to see what you look like in an outfit, you could literally like grab a picture of a model wearing the clothes you want, upload a photo of you and say like ChatGPT, put these clothes on me.
Wow.
And it will freaking do it and it will look good. That's
Wow.
just how powerful it is. You're like, dang, what can it do? Like the possibilities for how we could use this as marketers just goes through the roof now. As we could literally be like cool hunting in the mall, which who goes to the mall anymore? But we could be in the mall with our phones, just taking pictures and stuff. Be like, hey, what would this look like for my brand?
Right.
And then it'll make it. Like
Right.
we could be doing that all the time now, and I will be, but we'll see. So we're going to be talking about this for months. Like this tool will make its way back onto the show for a long time because again, it's almost they call it the ChatGPT moment for images. When
Wow.
ChatGPT blew up and we all kind of became aware of like how good it was and how useful it was, like that's where we're at right now with
Yeah.
images. Before it was like that was good for some things, but now it's like, oh, now it's like
It's
freaking really good.
It's there. Yeah.
And it'll continue to get better, just like ChatGPT has. Which is a good segue into the second news item, which is that this is the image generator obviously went viral. Everyone's talking about it. This next one, nobody's talking about it, but I find is actually really significant because we're all using it all the time, and therefore it's going to impact our work in a really great way. And that's ChatGPT 4.0's text. The base model got an upgrade.
Mm.
When asked about why, like we already have like 4.5, we got all these reasoning models. I'm like, why are you pushing the thing that's old now? And Sam Altman said like, because servers are melting or something like that. Like it's because we couldn't keep pushing 4.5 forward or any of the reasoning models forward because it's just taking up too much server capacity. So we went back down to the one that doesn't and then just made it better. And they made it
Wow.
so much better that it's now ranking higher in blind tests than 4.5.
Whoa. Talk about
And
efficiency.
is ranking number 2 as far as people's preferences go, second to Google, which is
Google.
another news item I
What does
decided
that
not to
mean?
talk about.
Like
Is Google
Gemini?
update. Yeah. Gemini 2.5
I hate
Pro.
Gemini. I hate Gemini.
Dude, Google's coming. They're like, "Hello, we're here." Everybody's like, "ChatGPT."
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
dude,
when they launched that
I
model,
tried Gemini. It's like, what's the best, like, what's your favorite flavor of donut? And it's like an exhibition of answers. I'm like, oh my gosh, ChatGPT would be like, sprinkles. Like, that's what I needed. I needed quippy, kind of funny. No, Gemini is.
now, when they're comparing to digress a little bit, like when they're comparing the tests on the blind taste or the not blind taste test, blind test of like which
I
model was
got you.
better,
I got
there's
you thinking food.
there's a couple missing factors. You're doing it without it being customized to your preferences. When we're both working in ChatGPT, we've tuned it in, and it's got a lot of content in there for it to know how we want what we want and how we like it, right?
Yep.
So that's hard to beat. So when you're doing it with all that removed, then the models ChatGPT isn't as good. Remember a few weeks ago, I told you it was really personable, and then you went in and it wasn't nearly as personable, but then we went and changed your settings, and all of a sudden it was personable,
Yeah.
and you liked it more. That kind of stuff is removed from these
It,
like
it has
tests.
changed my chat GPT experience once I
Made those setting
optimized it to
changes. Yeah.
personality. Oh, it's not, and my friend was surprised that I use the talk feature so much on ChatGPT. In fact, it's what my smart button is on my phone. It
Yeah.
goes straight to
Same.
talking to chat, but it has no personality. It's still the
Yeah. I know.
overly nice and somewhat
Simplistic. Yeah.
annoying, simplistic in its thinking. But over the text, bro, so
It's
good.
huge. So that base model got upgraded, and here was the release notes from it. It's better at following detailed instructions, especially prompts containing multiple requests. Improved capability to tackle complex technical and coding problems. Improved
Mm.
intuition, creativity, fewer emojis. Which is like, I didn't even realize it, but I was having a conversation about some deep stuff, and its answers and its ability to not only answer my request to a more fuller extent than I expected, but also anticipate what I needed next was so good that it just blew my mind just yesterday. I was like, oh my gosh,
Wow.
what the heck is going on? Like, this is better than 4.5. Like, I could feel it. And it was just 4.0.
Wow.
The cool thing about 4.0 is it's freaking cheap. Like, if I'm looking forward, I'm like, please roll this out to the API so I can hook up all my automation tools to this one particularly because it's so good. Everything will get better with it, and it's cheap to run. That's the exciting part, is when you're trying to scale these things. And like, I'm hoping to like make the newsletter for AI driven marketer dynamic so that there's a whole section of it that's customized with AI one-to-one. So that means you have to prompt AI for every single newsletter.
Isn't it crazy? AI is it is the tool to have. It's like as significant as the transition from going from Nokia and BlackBerry phones to actually having an intelligent iPhone. We are now at the place where it's having a phone is just second nature now, but the tool to have that is changing everything is just having ChatGPT or whatever form of AI that you're using. It's like second nature to me now. I'm just that I want to have it. It's wild.
It would be hard not to have it now. You'd
Yes.
feel like it'd be like living without the internet.
Correct.
It's 100%. That important to us
I
now.
have felt the dependency on it, and I'm sad for probably the next generation. Man, those viral posts about people acting like cavemen until they can get the answer. They're like, good. And then ChatGPT's like, hey, this is excellent work. Thank you so much for submitting your paper. And the guy's like, fine. It's like, yes. Oh my gosh, dude. I just dying.
I haven't seen those. I can see it. I can see it.
Like, what men will be like interacting with ChatGPT, and then watching him listen back to and he's like rocking back and forth
like a child,
like literally like a caveman. Like he only speaks 3 words and
then AI is so good it can anticipate still what you want.
What you want. It's brutal.
Just grunt and I'll be able to tell. It's kind of like the baby whisperer stuff where like you can understand what the baby wants based on the type of cry. Like AI will just kind of know. In other news, I just got back from that conference. Social Media Marketing World has just wrapped on Tuesday. It's Thursday when we record this. It was interesting. There's not a lot of AI conferences out there, and Social Media Marketing World is obviously a social media marketing conference, generally kind of a marketing conference with all the different types of sessions. They cover paid media and influencer marketing and all kinds of other things too. But AI has become like a massive segment of this conference. And I expect in the future, it'll probably be like today, it was like a massive sub conference within a conference. Next year, it'll probably be 2 conferences. And then in the future, it'll probably be its own standalone conference. The AI part of this company. But it was interesting to see everybody showing up to this. Again, as Matt Wolf was going to present on the 25 tools. And unfortunately, he had to drop, which was sad because I was really looking forward to like meeting him in person. He's a really nice guy. I did meet him over the phone once, and it was like, dang, this guy's legit. But he dropped. Michael Stelzner called me, and he's like, hey, man, you want to take a session? And I freaked out because I only had 1 week to make it. But we did it. That's why we canceled the show last week, because I was preparing for that one session, and it worked. It went well. People were very excited. The funny thing is I had to cover 25 tools, right?
25? So I thought you said 15.
25.
Oh, 25. In the beginning, you said 15.
And workflows. It's a lot. So it's like, and you have a 45-minute presentation. So at the beginning of the presentation, like, hey, do the math. I have 25 tools in 45 minutes. Take out your notepads. Bring out your iPhone notes. We're gonna be hauling. Okay, we ain't gonna be covering time. If you think the tool is interesting, you better write the name down. So I ain't giving you QR codes for all these things.
Yeah. No question and answer after.
I covered a lot of basic tools. Like, it wasn't like some of it were, I did have some like pro tips in there to like, hey, take a picture of this slide. But some of it was like Suno, like AI music. It's a thing. You can use it for the background music in your videos. Napkin, which creates the diagrams really fast, and it's free, and it's kind of a nice little AI tool. CapCut has AI tools in it. Like it was just 25 tools of mostly stuff like that. Like the deep research. I spent 3 of them on like Perplexity deep research, Grok's deep research, or deep search they call it, and ChatGPT's deep research. Those were 3 different tools right there. But
Nice.
most people hadn't heard of most of these tools
Right.
in that session. And it just goes to show you like how early
Yeah.
all this is. Like if
Yeah.
you're listening to this podcast, you're one of those people that are like diving in deep and you're learning all the stuff and you're hearing all the things.
Right.
Most people are not like that. Most people are not you listening to this thing.
No.
You're on the edge. You're learning the things fast, which I think will have a huge advantage later.
Yeah.
I think the most common question I got during the whole thing, everybody said it in different ways, but everybody kind of meant the same thing. The most common question was, where am I at and what should I be learning next?
Wow. They wanted a reference for, are they in the
There's
top
so much to learn.
top 50% or bottom 50%? Are they the top 10% underneath?
It didn't have to do so much with like, where am I at, but you need to know where you're at in order to what to do next. So I quickly found that I was asking a series of questions to gauge where they were at and then make my next recommendation.
Right.
My first question is, do you pay for ChatGPT?
Okay.
And if it was no, then I'm like, then you need to keep experimenting until you're getting so much value out of it that $20 a month seems like a stupid no-brainer. You need to experiment
That's a
aggressively
great
with it.
first question. Just to see
If they're like, yeah, or if they said yes, or they're paying for another tool, it didn't have to be ChatGPT. But when I even asked my own room, there's like 700 people in the audience. I'm like, any ChatGPT users in the house? There's like, it was most of the hands went up.
Yeah.
Again, like ChatGPT owns the market, so I just start with that. My next question is, have you built a custom GPT? If the answer was no, then I'm like, that's your next step. You need to figure that out ASAP. Like start searching everything you can about that one topic. Ignore everything else. Learn how to build those first. Everything else is like all the automation stuff and agent stuff is like way harder than that. And all the learnings you put into those will help in the next step.
Right.
If they said, yeah, I've made 1 or 2, I'll be like, okay, when you get to about a dozen, you're ready to start building automations. So
Wow.
keep finding more use cases for those because you need to maximize everything those can do and learn all the different ways to use them. And then you're ready for automation. So that was kind of like my progression of to figure out where they were at and then make a recommendation on where to go next in the simple way. Cause there's obviously like a ton of different directions you can go with AI and all the creative tools out there. But that was the simple test.
A funny story when you asked that first question, are you paying for ChatGPT? I've been talking to my father-in-law and I told him about the personality that you can actually have ChatGPT have a personality, plug in different ways, communication styles. I said, well, pull up chat. I go, so do you use ChatGPT? He goes, yeah, I use ChatGPT. I go, great, give it to me and I'll, put the settings in there. He goes, oh, okay. He gives me his phone.
It's
I'm
the
like,
free version.
This isn't ChatGPT. It's like Chat AI or something.
Oh, it's one of the people in the App Store that are pretending to be ChatGPT.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's paying not for ChatGPT. I was like, so make sure you actually have the real ChatGPT, not Chat AI. I know it can be confusing. Names are hard. It sounds the same, but I was like, listen, delete this. Actually download ChatGPT because for them it's like all, I don't know, when you reach a certain age, it's just like it's all the same. It's just AI.
There are some tools that brag about being all-in-one tools, and they have all the models and all the image tools. They're out there, and that way you can pay for 1 subscription instead of 50 subscriptions. That's how they market themselves.
Well,
don't do it.
No, no.
Just use ChatGPT. If you're on Train Claude or Google, fantastic. Just stick with those tools. Do not go for the all-in-one tools. It will be behind. It'll be clunky. Just stick with the plain tool. And it's easier to learn that way too, because there's way more tutorials on how to maximize that. Everybody else is like working through the APIs and those have weird limitations in and of themselves.
Right.
Just stick to the main tool.
Agreed. Well,
the people that are learning the most about AI right now that I found coming to the AI sessions of the conference were agencies and people who are like, they're marketers, but they're like the head of their companies. they're solopreneurs or they're marketer entrepreneurs. Those are the people that are the most hungry, and it makes the most sense. Like anything they can learn multiplies, not only for their internal business, but for something they can resell to their customers.
Right.
So those people were showing up. A lot of people hungry to learn. A lot of people were beginners. But that's kind of true for any space, right? There's always more beginners than there are intermediates, and there's always more people at the intermediate stage than there are at the expert stage. We're really early in this. I could feel it walking in there. This is only one of like maybe 3 or 4 AI conferences out there right now.
Right. And these are the hungry people that want to come to a conference to learn about AI, and they're still early.
Some things that I learned during the conference was from Michael Stelzner's opening keynote. He had a few stats that I was like, holy crap. Like his whole keynote was literally like addressing the fear of, is AI going to replace me? He had this whole Avengers theme. At first I thought it was like kind of corny, but then I'm like, no, this is really good. Because it rallied up the crowd and it worked really good. And I really liked it. Like I remember he rehearsed it with me before, and I'm like, man, this is going to freaking get people motivated to learn, which is what you need on the opening keynote before a conference. You need to get people freaking hyped to go and suck up all the knowledge. And he was like, he's like, this is Thanos. AI is going to come and just like half the jobs are going to disappear. We need to be like the Avengers and pull together and fight this thing. Here's how. He's kind of like rallying the troops. And I'm like, it worked really well. People were pumped. But a few of the research reports that came out over the last week that he quoted were really like shocking. Like ChatGPT's average weekly users has just hit like where Facebook was in their average weekly users in 2010. Early. We are really early in this thing called AI.
I mean, 2010. They were still pretty big in 2010.
Businesses weren't even figuring that out. Now, obviously, in AI, it's more business led than consumer led.
Yeah.
But like Facebook in 2010 was definitely starting to trend and take a lot of news.
Right.
Most people weren't on it. That's back
true.
when like iPhone 3GS hit and most people still didn't have smartphones.
Yeah, it was like Facebook was mostly used on your computer.
Right.
If not all used on your computer. Man, remember when social media just used to be computer? There was no
I remember that
involved. It was still just as good, man. Hit those dopamine. All right. Yeah, we're early.
Another stat he said that was really like convincing was there's a pretty good study done with Procter and Gamble. And when Procter and Gamble does studies, they're pretty good. They have a lot of employees, and they do these studies pretty well with like the right scientific way to prove them. They did a study where they took individuals within teams and trained them properly on AI, and then measured their productivity, individuals' productivity against whole teams that had no AI tools. And then they have teams that were properly trained on AI. The individuals crushed the teams without AI.
Wow.
In productivity. Now, the teams with AI still beat the individual, but the margin wasn't as significant.
Wow.
And they found they became much better workers. And not only within their discipline, but cross-discipline, they became better.
Wow.
And I'm like, everybody should be reading stuff like that and being like, yeah, this is going to make a difference. Like, this is going to change dynamics. So you better be at the forefront of this, because we don't know exactly how it's going to shift, but when things like that are happening, like it's going to have a shock wave through the system.
Wow.
Which actually lines up perfectly with the poll we have to review for this next segment. So the weekly poll, I asked, AI makes me blank more productive. What does your gut tell you? We had 130 votes, and the poll came in like this: 20% more productive, 28% said that. 50% more productive, 32% said that. 80% more productive got 23% of the votes, and 100% or more productive got 18% of the votes. If you look at the graph, they're like evenly spread, with 50% more productive being like the standout. And it like falling and the more productive it became after that. What's your reaction to those numbers?
It's funny. I was leaning towards the 50% too. 50% more productive. But that's my line of work. So currently.
Dang, I'm in the 100% category.
Yeah.
I was like, no. I'm like, I could do twice as much in half the time.
Right.
There's this whole topic right now. This needs to be an individual episode of vibe marketing. Have you heard this term before? I really want to do a whole episode on this, but maybe it just stays a segment of this one. Vibe marketing is this idea. Okay, you heard of vibe coding, right?
No.
Really? Oh, vibe coding was a trend for like the last 2 months because the AI coding is getting so good that like some bros on a weekend can get together and like replicate whole apps on on a dime. You're like, yeah, I can make my own Asana over the weekend. Why would I pay for Asana? You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. At first, I was like, that's dumb. Like, because you're going to create stupid apps and they're going to get hacked and all that kind of stuff. I think we've even talked about it on the show. But what I found is people are vibe coding and just building their own individual things. And I'm like, oh, yeah, like if it's not publicly released and people paying for it, then it would totally work because you don't have all the security vulnerabilities and all that kind of stuff. So people are just going to vibe code, as in just they don't know how to code. They're just kind of like feeling the vibe of it. It's like, is this about what I wanted? Is this feature kind of working the way I need it to? That's vibing. That's good enough. It meets my needs, right? So you vibe code, get your tools, and now you don't have to pay for them because you're just coding them all yourself.
Wow.
So vibe marketing, because of this huge productivity increase in marketing, is like, well, some marketers can knock out months worth of like a whole brand and a whole campaign in a weekend now. If you're that much more productive, especially with the new image tools, like you could probably knock it all out and create a whole consistent campaign and it sounding nice, looking nice. Hence, I was able to put together half a kid's book in a morning when that was a 3-month project before, working with a paid illustrator.
Wow.
Part of me was like, yeah, one, I don't know anybody doing that. Because if somebody was going to be doing that, I'm like, I'd be in that camp of people who could knock out a whole thing over a weekend.
Oh, yeah.
But the other thing is I'm like, marketers, like the thing that holds marketers back isn't their execution ability usually. It's the internal politics of the company they work for.
Totally.
I'm like, yeah, you'll vibe market over the weekend. And part of me is scared about that. I'm like, dude, if your boss knows you can vibe market over the weekend, expectations are just going to go through the roof. Can you create a whole campaign before you leave on Friday? It's like 3:00. You're like, maybe.
They will too, because those driven CEOs, you know.
One thing that I did hear from another AI marketer who spoke at the conference, their name's Nicole Leffer, very popular on LinkedIn. She said something that kind of struck me in that, because I was thinking, I'm like, this AI thing's going fast, but the adoption cycle is always really slow. Like I still can't get people to automate correctly. People still post stupid crap on their Facebook company page, about themselves. Check out our blog post announcing our new thing that you should buy. You're like, yeah, that's not how you do social media. Great. So adoption cycles are really slow.
Yeah.
But what she said, so I was like, maybe it won't hit everything so fast. But what Nicole told me, like, made me think differently about this and this whole vibe marketing thing. She's like, you only need a certain fraction of marketers to like become super marketers for it to become a problem for everybody else. Because if 20% of marketers can 10x or 20x their output, you don't need the other 80% anymore.
Wow.
And that makes a big difference to the industry. So she's like, essentially she was making the argument that there's a tipping point and it's not down here. It's like, it's actually way up there.
Wow.
Right now we're in like 1 or 2% of like super marketers because enhanced with AI. But like eventually there'll be a point where you only need one marketer when normally you had teams of 5 or 10.
Mm.
But I'm like, well, that's going to be a problem sometime. Will it hit this year or next year?
Got to stay on the game. Increase your productivity.
Luckily, a lot of this stuff is open and free to learn, experiment, and trial with. So
true.
Hopefully you're in it early. Viral post of the week. You just had some time reviewing it. It is from Stephen Bartlett, which you had to remind me who he was when I was like, hey, bro, read this viral post. You're like, oh, it's from Stephen Bartlett. And I was like, yeah, I don't know who that is.
Diary of a CEO, YouTube podcaster.
I'm like, oh, that guy. Yeah, he interviewed Mr. Beast recently. Which I'm one of those guys, like, I clearly should have known who it was, but I watched Mr. Beast.
Oh my
I
gosh.
never. Oh, people made fun of me on LinkedIn when I told them I watched Mr. Beast. I asked if anybody else watched Mr. Beast, and of course, a lot of people did. But a lot of people are like, "Who?" I'm like, "My gosh."
Really? Oh man.
So Stephen Bartlett posted this really long post. It's practically a blog post that he
It's
copied and pasted
it's
into a LinkedIn deck.
it's an article, man.
What did you think about the premise of his post?
Yeah, obviously he's a very successful CEO and entrepreneur, and it seems like everything he touches turns to gold. And you come to a sense that there's a reason for it because he's an optimist, he's an opportunist, he's a visionary. So when he explains in his post, he has come across ChatGPT image generator 4.0, how it has shifted his mindset to see the future, a glimpse into the future, and he explains that and kind of gives a warning so that people will not romanticize their craft and believe that, AI will never take over true artwork that's done on a computer. It's like, nope, it's definitely a possibility. So I actually have a story about having a conversation with the designer at my workplace because of one comment she made saying, "Oh my gosh, AI is going to take my job." And I just kept thinking about it, and I kept, obviously, because I want to push her into using it, but I'll tell you what her response was. What did you think of this post, this viral post?
I remember reading it, and it was a good hook. Like, the guy's a good marketer. So like I was reading the post, being like, nodding my head, being like, yeah, 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 that is a problem. Dang, yeah, don't be romantic. Yeah. And the part to me was at the end of like what to do about it, which I was hoping. I'm like, please tell me, like, please do not leave me on this fear load, but still trying to be optimistic. Like, what are you? I was really curious. I'm like, dude, you better lead with some freaking good like a call to action of like what to do about it, which he
Uh-huh.
freaking did at the end. But
Yep.
everything he was saying in the beginning, like, I was like in full agreement with. I'm like, yeah, we all should be concerned. This is going to be an issue across the board for
Yep.
multiple industries.
Yep. So I talked to my designer, and I was going to go in there and basically preach at her and say, listen, don't be afraid, capitalize, use, experiment. You will be a better designer if you use AI. But instead of just going in there and telling her what she needs to do, I got curious. I double clicked. I said, you made this comment and I've been wanting to know. You said you were afraid. Tell me what your
Hmm.
thoughts are about AI. Do you think it's a benefit? Do you think it's a threat? Like, let me go.
Yeah.
By the time we got to the end of the conversation, I realized she was 100% romancing, like hardcore. Which is, you know what? I get it. It's you have fallen in love with your craft. You have fallen in love with the creativity that it takes, the expertise that it took you to get to the place that you are. Great designer. She doesn't think AI will ever replace that romantic artwork. She's literally like, this is art and AI is kind of ruining it. But there will always be a need for true human touch artwork. Now, obviously, that's where I disagreed a little bit. And I'm like, yes. And that I try to tell her, you have the potential to be the best in the industry, at least in this sphere, if you capitalize on AI, because no one has the eye or the knowledge or the experience that you have to know what good design is and what bad design is. So you can immediately detect when AI is doing it right or doing it wrong, and that's only going to uplift your game. I tried to, let her know that that's the direction she should probably move, but she
Yeah.
did not. She doesn't want to touch it. She doesn't want to experiment. She doesn't want to try. She said she dabbles in like word smithing some things, but in the design space doesn't want to move forward, which I obviously had a hard time accepting because I'm like, this post speaks to people that are romanticizing it and don't want to grow.
People are practical. Marketing is extremely practical, and that was hard for me to unlearn because I started in the design space, moved to marketing, and it was hard sometimes when you're split testing landing pages and people liked the uglier one. But when your objectives change and you're being measured based on leads or revenue or both, usually, you have to learn how to get unromantic about it. Now, overall, better design aesthetics usually do better. But marketers and businesses that hire designers do it because it's a means to an end of serving a customer better.
Right.
And if the and we're not, and marketers and business leaders and CEOs are just not romantic about how it was done as much as if it was done ethically. And I'm not going to go into the morality of AI and how it learns and all that kind of stuff, but like if they can do it with the ChatGPT tool, they will. Which I'm like, we could be romantic all day, but I'm like, at the end of the day, it's kind of like if they can get it done for $2 rather than 20, they'll pull that lever every day.
Yeah.
There will be a season where a lot of marketing leaders will just hold on to their teams because they don't want to let people go, and I think that's the right thing to do. And what I'm finding good business leaders are doing right now is they're seeing the need, they're seeing that they probably could let some people go, but instead they're like, hey, no, let's capitalize on the human talent we have. We need to double down and learn AI.
Wow.
That's the smart leaders are doing that. The jerks out there will probably let some people go. I think naturally, like, people will just get let go for other reasons, and then just the higher back will just be really slow as AI starts to take over more productivity.
Yeah.
Or they have who they have right now, and they would have hired 100 people next year, but now they only hire 10 because AI.
Right.
That's going to be, I think, a really common thing over the next couple of years. They just hire slower, makes the job market harder. So what did you think about his call to action at the end for Stephen Bartlett's post?
Yeah, he had like 5 points. Create thinking time and be unromantic. Number 2, double down on community. Number 3, prioritize experimentation. Number 4, shift investment focus. Number 5, become customer obsessed. Which I think number 2 and 5 are a little bit similar, but it's really doubling down on what AI can't do, which is making people feel seen in a way from a human touch. It's like double down on the community, really have an interactive flow with your people that are followers or whatever, and then getting customer obsessed, really understanding the basis of those people that have bought your product or are involved in organization. I mean, you've taught me that from the beginning. Like, marketers are not obsessed enough about people that have taken part, So it's funny. It's like half of them are like get people focused, and the other half, shift investment or take some time. He is like telling you to push into the space, and it was good. It's practical.
Yeah,
it's some of it's hanging on to the past, and some of it's hanging on to the future. So he's got both in there.
It's kind of like it's got 3 things in my mind to do. If I were to summarize his, because it goes on, it gives some more practical ideas on the last couple of pages too that aren't in a bulleted list. But it's essentially like, yes, this is going to be a thing. Maximize it. Like, learn everything you can about it. Think about it. Be creative with it. This is going to amplify your creativity. It's going to matter. That's one thing. 2, double down on what it freaking can't do. AI cannot build an audience for you. AI cannot curate taste, which is why your designer friend needs to double down on it, because she has taste. AI might be able to do that someday, but right now humans can lead in that way better. Yep. So that will continue to be effective, but they definitely can't build at least audiences yet. Maybe when it gets to AGI or super artificial intelligence or whatever, it might be able to be like, here's a whole plan. I'm just going to execute this whole thing and build an audience. Maybe. And then third, AI can't build relationships. So meet people, build relationships on social, comment, meet people in real life. Like, probably I need to go to more events and meetups, because relationships is something it'll never be able to do. And we all know the business world is made on relationships. Yep. A lot of deals are done, a lot of big marketing campaigns with influencers and all kinds of things. It's through a relational thing. Pretty much all of Social Media Examiner and social media marketing world is done because Mike Michael Stelzner has strong relationships with a lot of really smart people. All the speakers are there because of it. That's for sure. Relationships. I'm like, AI can't do that. So do that, but also do AI.
Right.
I should probably come up. It'd be fun to do like a whole session on like maybe next episode on like what are all the things that AI can't do, at least for the next 3-5 years.
That's good. That's smart.
So next week we'll talk about that,
Let's
and we'll
do it.
close with a call to action. Learn AI, because we're gonna have that Avengers moment, and jobs might just disappear. Bam.